Hello, everybody. How are you doing today? My name is Tony Zano, and this is Online Marketing Moves, the most universally loved podcast, not on the planet, in the galaxy. Okay, trust me, it's a very true statement. The time of this podcast will be downloaded. It will be Monday, November the 23rd, 2020. If you listen to this 9 years from now, hello, hola. Maybe the world hasn't blown up yet, and you still have a chance to listen to it. Do you ever think, how, like, one of these days, how everything, we went from like 8 tracks, 45s to 8 tracks to CDs to now you don't even. Who buys a CD anymore, So you figure one day, what a podcast is going to turn? Is it going to be something different, or because all this technology stuff doesn't last forever, So it's like, what is going to be 10 years from now? You think people are going to still be listening to podcasts, or what? Or is this going to be like this is going to be like the dinosaur, And I can tell my kids, kids, one time your daddy, he had a podcast, Hey, well, if you get one listener to a podcast, then you're already a success. So I can tell them it won't be a lot. So you know what? Had quite a few people listen to the podcast, kid. Okay? No, I'm just kidding. But today we are going to talk about setup for your business, a setup to an important part of your business, a setup to the action in your business, as like a bridge. Now, I thought about this because, if you ever watched The Godfather, in The Godfather they have a part where the guy wakes up and there's a horse head in the bed. And that's like a famous scene, of course. But to me, the most important part about how they got to that scene is the scene before, when Tom Hagen, who was the lawyer, he went to Hollywood to meet the producer, and he said, hey, my client would like if Johnny Fontane was in the movie. And Johnny Fontane really wanted this movie because he thought it would revive his career, and he really wanted the part. And the producer could not stand Johnny Fontane because he felt like Johnny Fontane screwed him over in the past when it comes to one of his actresses. So they set it up, and he was like, I don't like Johnny Fontane. He's never going to get this part. He's never going to be in this part. And that led to the famous scene with the horse's head in the bed. Because I've seen that. They show that, they're like best scenes or whatever, and they show that scene. But how they got there, that scene with Tom Hagen and the producer was the bridge for that scene. And sometimes people forget. How do you when you're driving over you don't drive into the river. You take the bridge over the river into the other side of the of the highway, or the next state, or whatever, you know what I mean? So sometimes people tend to forget. It's not all about the end. It's not all about the beginning. You want to make sure that everything in your business is, especially like, since we're talking online, you want to make sure that everything fits. You want to make sure that you have the whole puzzle, the bridge. You want to make sure the bridge is complete before you get to, because just like if you're trying to let's say you're a car salesman, okay, and you own let's say you don't own the biggest car dealership in the world. Let's say you own your own little car dealership, and it's like, all right, and you tell people, oh, I can close people. But if you don't have people walking over the bridge to get to the car dealership to close them, then you can't be a great closer if you don't have anybody to close. You might be able to. You might go out and put, say, hey, I got a dealership, but it's how do you get people to walk over to the bridge? So you have to set yourself up for that. You want to make sure that everything is, because a lot of people like to, they like to say they like to start a business. They'll go buy it. They'll go buy the LLC, and then of course they'll tell you, "Hey, I got a business," and it's like, all right, what's this business about? And then they say that they tell you the beginning, they tell you the end, but it's like, how are you going to get this business? How are you going to get this business started? And when I say the end, they mean like, 6 months later, you go, what happened to that business? F it. It's like, what happened? It's no, you didn't put a bridge up so you can get from the beginning successfully to the end. You just sort of ran over the cliff. You start off, you're like, hey, I got an LLC, I got a business. Then you jumped, no bridge, no plan, no nothing. It's like I got a friend. He owns a donut shop, and he started. We was in the Navy together. He went to culinary school, and then he went to a school in Kansas. He went to a baking school in Kansas, and then the bridge for him was he got a job at this baking place. They bake bread, so he learned the ways of baking. He learned this, he learned that. He learned about production, and then finally one day he said he was driving by this little place. He saw a little store, and he said, you know what? I've learned enough. So the job he had for a couple of years was the bridge for him to go from, college to owning a donut shop. Because maybe if he wasn't able to work at this place, who knows? He might would have failed, because a lot of times I know some people think you can just start off, boom, I can get to the end, but it's like, what did you learn? What bridge did you cross to get to this point? And a lot of people just go from 0 to 60. My brother's like this. My brother, he wants to go from 0 to 100. We used to talk about trying to own a business together and everything like that. But my brother, he never wanted to look into the details. He never wanted to, like how are we gonna cross over? How are we gonna make it? How are we gonna get to the point where we are generating money and this, that, and the other? My brother, he was just going, I don't know. In the beginning, he would be like, I got it. And then the end, he's like, we're gonna be spending all this money. But it's like, where's the middle? Where's the meat? Where's the bridge? There's no, like, what are we plan? What is the plan? What are we doing? What are we gonna do? And my brother, he would always have the beginning. He'd say, oh, we can do this, we can do that. And I'd be like, man, that's a good idea, Then he said, and at the end of the day, man, we gonna make a lot of money. I'm like, when we gonna get started? Where we gonna get started? My brother, he had no, no plan, no bridge, no nothing, no setup, no anything. So that's never good, So don't be like my brother. But and I don't know if bridge is the right word, but you understand what I'm saying. You understand what I'm saying, because you can't go from. It's like, okay, I have a email list of about 500, 600 people. Okay, I have the email list now. I can't go from, oh, they signed up to the email list. Now we're just gonna send you something. Bye, boom. That's not gonna happen. You have to email them. You have to try to develop a relationship. They feel comfortable. Things like that. And of course, you always know the hardest sale is the first sale. Then after that, But so you have to work on this stuff. You just can't go, all right, they signed up. Boom. That's say, hey, I'm gonna sell them a car right now. Boom. No, it doesn't work that way. I have to set up a bridge. I have to set up a series of emails so they can know, what I'm talking about, what I'm trying to promote, what I'm trying to sell, whatever, whatever you're doing, You just can't go. Most of the time, you just don't go from Oh, you sign up to the email list? Ah, come on. Here you go. Boom. Done. No, it doesn't work that way, you know? Some people it's like 7, 8, 9, 10, 20 emails. Some people it's months later. Some people it's, you know, might be years later. You never know. It just doesn't work that way. Just doesn't quite work that way. So, you know, bridge it, you know. It's like when I started the podcast, I didn't think I was gonna go from 0 to 1,000,000 listeners. You know what I mean? Like, I know 1,000,000 people not gonna download the podcast, and there's been different things that I've done to grow the listenership. You know, different things, different, you know, situations, different, you know, like, of course, practice. This podcast has gotten better. It's not just, you know, because, you know, in the beginning, the first couple episodes, you know, talking all fast, blah, 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 you know, talking real fast, kind of nervous, you know, it wasn't, you know, now it's more, you know, at the pace at the pace that I naturally talk, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not going 100 miles an hour, you know, I know how to explain things, I know how to, you know, I'm a little better at telling the story, and different things. Like, I'll tell you last week something that a bridge in the podcast and the relationship with to get, you know, more viewers, more people to listen, you know. We changed the cover art because, you know, in the beginning I just put something together because, you know, I just wanted to produce the content and get started. So it wasn't a picture of me. It wasn't really clear. It just was the most random picture with people standing there, and it's like, if you scrolling, if you're looking at podcasts, not the people now, but in the future, if somebody's gonna scroll by, they type in, you know, marketing or whatever, you know, or if somebody, you know, if somebody wants to look me up and they go, you know, this guy, they type in my name, then the cover I have now will pop up, you know, and it's a, you know, fairly nice. It's a nice, you know, photo of me, and it says the podcast title, and it does a lot better explaining than the last podcast thing did. You know what I mean? So that's what I mean when I say it's a small piece of the puzzle. You know, it's a small bridge in the goal to make this podcast. You know, we want to go from, you know, my goal is on a regular basis to have, you know, let's say like 200 to 500 people download the podcast on a daily basis. Well, you know, for the first year this is going to be daily, but after that it's going to change. But my goal is, you know, let's say 5-10 years from now, to have it to where, you know, it's not just 200 to 500, it's like 20,000 downloads maybe a week, something like that, you know. But you understand, like that. So small. So this is a long journey. So on this journey, we're gonna have a lot of little bridges, you know, like the changing of the cover art. That's a small bridge. When we start interviewing people, that's gonna be another bridge. You know, we get a producer, that'll be another bridge. So it'll be bridges to keep walking, to keep growing, you know. Or like when I say, hey, you can download the notes on the show, you know, we can transcribe them, you know. When we get to that level, then that'll be more and more things that we build upon, more and more things for this, we'll say a movie, you know. So this will be more and more things for this movie of growing it from 0 to whatever, you know. So that's what I mean when I say that. So when it comes to any business, doesn't matter, you know, online, offline, whatever. You want to make sure that you just don't look at the beginning and just don't look at the end. Just don't look at the end results. Look at what are you going to do to get, what kind of little, you know, how are you going to make all this work? How are you going to make this puzzle fit so that way you can piece it all together and you can have the masterpiece that you want, you know? Because of course, you know, the end game is to, you know, make as much money as possible, change some people's lives, help people out, and all that good stuff. Whatever you want to do, that is the end game. So you have to figure out, how am I going to get from a dream, an idea, to the finishing results? Because you're not going to be able to just jump. You're not just going to be able to go from A to Z and jumping without building, the bridges along the journey. You know what I mean? So I hope that helps. I believe I explained that, because it's a lot of different things. That's all I'm saying. Because you see more and more people now. They're like, you just see more and more people with the whole, I got an LLC, and it's like, all right, you got an LLC. Now what? Now what are you gonna do? Like, I had a cousin. He went out. He was like, I'm gonna flip houses. I was like, oh, okay. So what's the what's the plan? And he was like, oh yeah, we went and got the paperwork. It was like, all right, you got the paperwork now. That's great and everything, but what are you gonna do? How are you gonna get there? You gonna buy a house? And he was already complaining, and I knew this wasn't gonna go far. Not that I'm not the judge of of life, but sometimes when you know somebody, somebody. And my cousin, he was like, I don't want to go to no rundown neighborhoods. I'm like, but you don't have a lot of capital. You don't have a lot of have a lot of revenue. You don't have a lot of money to go out and buy a say a house in a you want to call it affluent neighborhood. He wasn't going to go out and get a house for $900,000 and rent it out to people. You know what I mean? So I was like, why don't you start off with a $40,000 house or something like that? And we was on the phone, and I heard him. He paused, and he's like, "Are you nuts?" And I was like, I don't know, man. I was like, I'm just trying to, I'm not a real estate, expert by no means, but what you can afford is what you can afford. You're not gonna go from never doing real estate to just like, oh, I'm gonna buy this $2 million house and I'm gonna rent it out, or I'm gonna flip it and start making bank. This ain't it's not HGTV. This is real life, so you want to be careful. So that's why I say a lot of people have these dreams, and it's like, what are you gonna, what kind of bridge are you gonna build? What are you gonna do to set up the next scene? You know what I mean? Like, you have to remember, you want to set things up. So just keep that in mind when you hear people, because my brother, I'm telling you, he loves to say, well, he doesn't bother me anymore like he used to. That was more of when we was in our 20s. So he doesn't bother me a lot anymore. But he used to have the most. He had 101 ideas, and they all was A to Z, but no B through Y. He never had any. He had the beginning plan and the end plan. The end plan was the same thing. Man, we're gonna make so much money, man. We're gonna be spending that money. And I'm like, so what we gonna do to get started? And he be like, I don't know. I figure I'm like, it's your idea. You have to tell me. And he's like, I don't know. So that probably was the inspiration for this podcast. But anyway, that's it for today. My name is Tony Zano. We will be back tomorrow with another hard-hitting episode. Well, today's Sunday evening, and I'm recording this, and it's going to upload Monday. So, as we like to say on the weekends, tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend about the podcast, huh? We do this show daily. And, as you see, this show is only getting, better, So, that being said, my name is Tony Zano. This is Online Marketing Moves, and we will talk to you tomorrow. And as always, everybody, peace.